fine, and most important, alive. Probably ran straight home, terrified himself. She wanted to feel relieved, except she couldn't move. Frozen with her foot pressed so hard on the brake her toe touched the floorboard. She closed her eyes, waiting for her racing pulse to slow, but thoughts of Chance pricked at her like the shards of glass that littered the floor of her apartment. That morning, she had crumpled the eviction notice into a tiny ball and had opened her apartment door, intending to move on, like always. Find another job, get a crappier apartment, whatever it took. But then her eyes had landed on a school picture of Chance, taken when he was in 2nd grade. Her son looked at her with his bright eyes and impish smile, and something came unhinged inside her. He'd given her life meaning, and when he had needed her the most, she'd failed him. Her hands shaking with a familiar rage that sprang from her heart, flooding her body with a horrible impotence, she'd thrown the frame against the wall and the glass shattered, spraying the carpet in small pieces. The slivers pricked her skin when she rescued Chance's picture from the mess, but she knew what she had to do, leave and never look back. It had taken only a few minutes to pack a duffel bag and load the old car with a few items she cared about. The landlord could figure out what to do with the rest. The flashing dashlight brought her back to the present, a blinking reminder that she was alone in this quiet town with 80 bucks to her name. She ran the car to empty enough to know that once the orange low fuel light started blinking, the tank was on nothing but fumes. She eased her foot off the brake, the car inched forward, and Jess scanned the road ahead. There had to be a gas station here. This town was too far off the highway to be without one. A full tank would buy her a few more hours. Maybe enough to get her to Grand Junction? Not that she knew anyone there, but it was a place that she and Chance had planned to visit one day, so he could see the Native American petroglyphs he'd learned about at school. They'd had so many plans, like visiting the Four Corners Monument where Chance wanted to straddle Arizona and Colorado, while Jess did the same with New Mexico and Utah. Their own version of Twister. Her eyes stung and she swiped at them with the back of one hand. Thoughts of all the adventures that had been stolen from Chance coiled around her body and squeezed until she thought her pent-up grief and sorrow and anger would melt out of her pores, leaving her as empty and scarred as she felt. She pressed her lips together and kept driving. There was no turning back time, or her car. All she could do now, all she could ever do, was move forward. Today, that meant finding a gas station and getting the hell back to the highway. The car had moved only a few feet when her headlights dimmed and a metallic shriek sounded from under the hood. A heavy odor of burnt oil wafted from the vents and stung her nose. She groaned. The car had needed an oil change months ago, but she'd ignored it because she hadn't had the money to spare. Without a high school diploma, Jess worked to pay her rent and eat, which usually left her no more than a couple of months ahead of broke. Smoke drifted from under the hood, disappearing into the gray air. Could nothing go right today? She pulled into a parking spot on the street, but before she could turn the car off, the engine sputtered and died. Damn! The flesh across her wrist burned with a sudden itching that made her scratch the skin until it turned bright pink. Alone and stranded in a cowboy ghost town, she slumped forward under the weight of everything she had lost this year alone. Her job, her apartment, Mr. Kim, the first friend she'd bothered to make in 8 years. Her forehead dropped to the steering wheel and the plastic felt cool against her skin. She hit the dashboard with a balled-up fist. "Damn!" she said again. A heavy bang like a door being slammed shut sounded from a store immediately to the right of the car. She lifted her head to look around. A cafe, a coffee shop, and what looked like a second-hand store lined the still empty sidewalk, all with black and white closed signs turned outward. Very weird. She looked through the passenger window and up toward a glass door with the words Mountain Market spelled out in white lettering. The same closed sign hung on the door, tapping the window as though it had just been turned. A small face appeared from inside the darkened market and she jumped, startled. Was that the boy she'd almost hit? Today had been a crap day, but at least she could do something right. She could talk to the boy about darting out in front of cars. She swallowed hard. Might save his life one day. She stepped out of the car, walked up the wooden steps to the market, and paused a moment to look around. The sidewalk was empty, not a soul in sight.